Social media. You either love it, you hate it, or you hate how much you can't seem to avoid it. Social feeds have a way of creeping into every spare moment of our days. We often begin the scroll out of boredom or to assuage our anxiety and isolation. Maybe you're reading this and sighing with relief that you've somehow managed to avoid getting sucked into this strange digital world. In my personal experience, social media used to be a necessary evil. But I've come to see it as a vital mission field left unharvested. When COVID started in 2020, social media was full of people supporting one another. There was solidarity in the idea that we could only connect through these social platforms. But as COVID dragged on, the mood quickly shifted. Users became increasingly hostile, filling each other's feeds with sharp criticism, conspiracies, and unfair generalizations. Social media had always carried an undercurrent of insecurity, but now it reeked of fear and desperation. And the worst part, most of us Christ followers were right down in the muck with everyone else. This bothered me. Shouldn't we be able to rise above the fear? We are called to see the world differently, to love others unconditionally. But once we entered the world of Facebook and Instagram, we all became the same. I think the even scarier possibility was maybe we were always the same, but social media brought it out. The truth is likely somewhere in the middle. Social media has a way of bringing up the old yucky parts of ourselves that we left behind when we chose to follow Christ. So why do we have such a problem reflecting Christ on social media? Because social media is all about us. These platforms direct our thoughts towards ourselves. Do I look good enough? Is my opinion respected? Is my life interesting? Do enough people like me? Christ calls us to give up ourselves when we pursue him. How can we give up something that we spend hours a day focused on? Imagine what the social landscape would look like if we approached it like we imagined Jesus would. What would be on Jesus's Instagram feed? How would he respond to comments? What topics would he post about? And how would he engage with people? I have a sinking feeling that the majority of what Christ followers are putting on our social feeds would not stand up to this scrutiny. Millions of people on social media are searching for hope, love, and acceptance every day. In a digital landscape shrouded in darkness, we have the opportunity to shine the light of Jesus into these spaces. I see it as more than just an opportunity. It is what Jesus called us to be salt and light. As with most of our faith practices, the church should lead the way in this. Our church social accounts must become more than bulletin boards for members. Imagine a post from your church comes across the feed of someone drowning in depression. Do you want them to just see a reminder of an event or a clip of your pastor sharing about the hope of Jesus? Part of what makes social media such a unique mission field is its accessibility. Any church can create a Facebook or Instagram and start spreading the good news of the gospel without any of the red tape. Even if your church members aren't active on social, I can guarantee you that the majority of the unchurched people in your community are. Social media consumes our culture. Whether the church shows up or not, everyone else will. Many dark voices on social media have the ear of the lost and hurting. We must show up and interrupt the feed with a message of light. In platforms overflowing with hopelessness, we have the chance to speak hope into the world. Before Jesus invited people to follow him, he went to where they were and met them with a message of hope. It was this hope that drew them to follow him. We will never reach the lost through silence. So it's time to jump into the mission field of social media, full force, and flood people's feeds with the hope and love of Jesus.